girl with long, flowing hair walks into the classroom wearing a timid smile on her face. All the students curiously look on except Iori, who seems worried about the situation. The silence is finally broken when the transfer student hesitantly introduces herself as Kristina Kornikova and states that she is from Russia. Loud whispers of gossip fill the room as everyone comments about the unusual situation. The sudden appearance of a super cute foreign girl has everyone's interest, especially the boys. They begin bombarding her with questions, asking where she lives and why she came to Japan. Kristina is completely overwhelmed and starts shaking as she struggles to understand their fluent Japanese. Ignoring the obvious distress they are causing her, the boys of the class continue to storm around her as a worried Iori watches on from the side. Sasaki, one of the boys surrounding her, asks her to try and pronounce his name, and she struggles to put the words together. He remarks that it doesn't even matter that she can't say his name because she is just so cute. Kristina can barely understand what any of them are saying because of how fast they are talking. Before long, all the other boys of the class also begin to introduce themselves to her and ask her to say their names. Flustered and embarrassed, Kristina breaks down, crying as she is unable to respond to anyone. Noticing her predicament, Iori finally decides to take action. He gets up from his seat and reluctantly walks over to the crowd surrounding Kristina. Before he has a chance to say anything, Kristina immediately grabs onto his shirt, and everyone begins to speculate if two know each other. She looks up at him in tears and talking in Russian. She begs him to help her. Seeing such an innocent and vulnerable expression on Kristina's face, Iori can't say no. He agrees to help and reassures her to leave it to him. Everyone begins to wonder what the two are talking about as Kristina yells at Iori for not helping sooner, even though everyone was talking to her in Japanese. She complains about him taking so long and yells at him to not leave her alone anymore. With Kristina freaking out so much, the rest of the class wonders if Iori is saying something to upset her. Kristina timidly hides behind him, and he thinks that it is only natural for her to be scared of everyone. She doesn't know Japanese too well, and they were all vigorously gathering around her and overwhelming her. He briefly wonders about the consequences for standing up to protect Kristina, but decides to put his personal well-being aside and not hesitate because he is the only one who knows her, telling everyone to hear him out. Iori screams that Tina still doesn't know much Japanese, so if they want to talk to her, they will need to go through Ori. All the boys immediately turn on Iori and accuse him of just trying to get close to Kristina by himself. They scold him for being selfish and warn him to step back. Iori wonders how to clear this misunderstanding when Sasaki steps out from the crowd and questions why they all need to go through Iori to talk to Kristina. He exclaims that they don't want him to get too close to her, and Iori wonders about the tough situation he's gotten himself in. He is the only one she can rely on, but he will soon become hated by everyone for trying to help her. The loud sound of someone getting knocked over echoes through in the US military bases in Japan. A younger Iori stands resolutely as everyone around him appreciate his skill after he defeats a fellow trainee in combat. His opponent sits up and praises him for his effective technique, and Iori jokes that if his opponent is so robust, even after getting knocked over by him, then his technique is still lacking. Iori is told that she asked him to come to his room after training. Iori immediately understands who they are referring to, and he makes his way over to see Angie, who he sees as an older sister. She energetically bursts her door open and greets him with excitement. It was because of Angie's connections that Iori was able to get a job as an interpreter at this American military base. Angie states that he always gives his all during training, and Iori explains that he is still inexperienced with hand-to-hand combat. He is determined to get stronger. Iori asks why Angie is here, and she explains that she is having a baby. Shocked by the sudden news, Iori congratulates her and asks who her father is. She decides to tease him a little and states that why does he think she is coming to him with the news? Confused, Iori exclaims that he has never been involved with her in that way as Angie laughs mischievously and admits that she was only joking. Angie takes him to meet Kristina, and Iori is blown away by her innocent demeanor and adorable face. He says that she looks just like a doll, and an annoyed Angie exclaims that she isn't actually a doll. Feeling protective, Angie demands that he stop looking at her creepily. Iori explains that he didn't mean to be creepy. He was just fascinated by her beauty. Angie gets closer to her and whispers in Russian that although Iori is a pervert, she can rely on him. With that, she cheerfully takes her leave. Iori is still confused about the situation as a scared Christina hides under the covers. She timidly cries for him to stay away from her as he tries to explain that he means no harm. Before he can explain himself, his attention is drawn to the fact that she is talking in Russian. Christina sulks under the covers and Iori tries to comfort her in Russian. He explains that whatever Angie said about him was probably a joke, so she shouldn't feel afraid. He introduces himself and asks her to do the same but still feeling reluctant. Christina hides and does not respond. Iori thinks of something and excuses himself for a moment. Christina peeks from under the covers, wondering if he knows how to speak Russian. After a while, Iori returns carrying a heavy-looking box. He states that he wants her to see it. She curiously goes through the contents of the box and finds a Russian matryoshka doll and a picture book. Iori explains that since she had a doll too, he wanted to show these to her. He finally seems to have won her over, and she introduces herself to him sweetly. Iori asks if he can call her Tina because that's what they call her in Russia. She is impressed by his knowledge about Russian language and culture. Iori is about to pat her on the head when Angie bursts through the door once again and completely misunderstands the situation. She protectively grabs onto Christina and yells at Iori for trying to hurt her. Iori tries to explain that he was only trying to make her feel safe, but the girls are suspicious about his intentions. The trio go to a shopping mall where they force Iori to carry the bags. He remarks that he needs to clear this misunderstanding soon because Tina has been keeping her distance from him. Looking around, he notices that Angie is nowhere to be found. He calls out to her in frustration when he notices Tina looking over at a toy vending machine. He hands her some money and tells her to use it. She seems overjoyed to get the cute toy and she thanks Iori. Iori is relieved that she finally smiled wholeheartedly. Iori sets all the shopping bags down and guesses that Angie bought all of Tina's daily necessities. His mind suddenly turns to the fact that Angie will be going overseas for 3 days and that there isn't anyone else in Japan that knows Tina. Worrisome thoughts occupy his head as he wonders if she will be able to get used to school and if she'll be okay. He notices the door to the bedroom open and walks inside to find Tina sleeping. His presence wakes her up, and she politely says good morning. Tina finally asks him the question that's been on her mind ever since she met Iori. She questions why he's so good at speaking Russian and asks if he's ever been to Russia before. He looks away and reluctantly explains that he visited Russia a long time ago when he didn't know how to speak Russian. He states that when he was younger, his father used to bring him along to travel overseas with him. Wanting to communicate with the people of those countries, he studied their languages including Russian. His time in Russia back when he was younger was also when he got the matryoshka dolls. Iori says that he still remembers the first time he went to Russia. He accidentally bumped into an older man who got offended and began to ask him to apologize. Iori, unable to speak Russian, was frozen in place, wondering what to do as the man approached him aggressively and scolded him. In his fit of anger, he doesn't even realize that Iori doesn't understand what he's saying. The situation gets bad enough to cause the people standing nearby to wonder if they should step in. The man raises his leg up to kick Iori, but before he could, a man grabs his leg and stops him. The man is Iori's father, and he states that he has come to save his son. The men banter on, complaining that Iori bumped into them and claiming that no matter what he says now, they aren't going to let this go. Iori's father swiftly stands up to talk to the man, and the two look up at him in shock because of his height. He apologizes to the men for the trouble Iori caused them, but states that he won't forgive them if they hurt his son. The two men leave in frustration, and Iori's dad checks up on him and asks if he's okay. Iori cheerfully exclaims that he is totally fine because his father showed up to save the day like a hero. The people standing nearby become ashamed for not intervening and apologize to Iori's dad, and he tells them that everything is all right since his kid is not injured. As an apology, the people give a matryoshka doll to Iori, and his eyes light up with excitement. His dad hands him to doll, but makes him promise to get stronger to overcome any hardship. He tells Iori that there are people in the world who understand him and they will need his strength. The two promise each other, and Iori decides from that day that he will be like his father. Tina smiles warmly and states that Iori has a good father. Iori explains that he always felt relieved when his father patted his head with his big, wide hands, and Tina realizes that that's what he was trying to do to her earlier. Tina excitedly states that she would like to meet his father, but Iori sadly explains that his father passed away in an accident 3 months ago. Tina bursts into tears, and Iori worriedly asks her if she's okay. She explains that she also lost her parents a month ago, and hearing him out has reminded her of them. Iori realizes that this is the reason Angie is taking care of her, but she needs to go overseas and Tina doesn't understand Japanese well, which is why Angie called him to help. Iori warmly pats Tina on the head and reassures her that she can rely on him. A radiant smile appears on Tina's face and she thanks Iori for his kindness. An envious Sasaki commands Iori to step away from Tina. Iori becomes increasingly annoyed at the class's behavior and he screams that he isn't trying to do anything except translate for her. Sasaki completely denies the claim and yells that he doesn't trust Iori. He accuses him of taking advantage of her kindness, and Iori hopelessly tries to explain that he is only trying to help her. Iori's intentions are still misunderstood, but before the situation escalates, the teacher steps in and scolds the boys. She states that class is about to start and instructs them to sit down. A worried Tina asks Iori if he's okay, and he states that he's fine and they just need to return to their seats. Tina smiles and states that she feels relieved when Iori is there. With that, the class starts, and as the teacher tries to start her lesson, Sasaki immediately raises his hand. He proposes that they should decide who is going to take care of Tina. Chatters of gossip fill the room and the teacher agrees with Sasaki, saying that Tina still isn't accustomed to school, so they should appoint someone to look after her. Sasaki immediately jumps at the opportunity and exclaims that he should be the one put in charge of this task, claiming that Iori has ulterior motives. Tina has no idea what's going on, and Iori thinks that the real person with an ulterior motive is actually Sasaki himself. He swears that he can't let someone like him get close to Tina and hurt her, and decides that he will protect her no matter how many people hate him for it. The teacher politely thanks Sasaki for his offer and asks him to talk to Tina in Russian. He becomes flustered and asks if he needs to do it right there, and the teacher explains that he needs to prove to everyone that he is fit to care for her by talking to her in Russian. Sasaki agrees and claims that he can do it. The teacher asks him to tell Tina to raise her left hand in Russian and states that he is not allowed to use any gestures. He nervously tells Tina thank you in Russian because that's all he knows how to say. The class teases him by telling him to speak like he is a local. Iori stands up resolutely and tells Tina to raise her left hand in Russian. She complies and raises it, and everyone is shocked. The teacher commends Iori for his fluency in Russian and states that she is going to trust him to take care of Tina. Iori decides to bite back and remarks that leaving such a task to someone fishy will only cause trouble, hinting at Sasaki. The teacher tells everyone that from now on, if they want to talk to Tina, they need to go through Ori. The bell finally rings as classes are over for the day. Iori and Tina walk out of the class as he states that he had no idea that the task of taking care of her would be so difficult to obtain. Before the two can leave, someone from class calls out to Iori. He looks back and notices that a boy named Suji is approaching them. Iori introduces him as his understanding friend to Tina, and he teases him for being too supportive of Tina. Iori asks if he was the one laughing at Sasaki earlier, and Suji wonders why there are so many people like that in their school. Iori states that Tina is working hard, but Suji explains that the one who is going to work hard is Iori because the teacher assigned him to take care of Tina. Iori explains that Suji is a suspicious guy, but the only one who understands him. Tina smiles and states that she also understands him. Suji warns Iori that before he left the class, he heard everyone making plans for a welcome party and yelling that Tina will be part of this event. He explains that it sounds like they are planning to go to the beach, and Iori worriedly exclaims that there's going to be more trouble. Iori have an unusually serious look on his face as he asks Tina what those guys said to her. She wonders who he is talking about, and he explains that he is talking about Sasaki and the others. He asks her if they invited her to the beach, and Tina explains what happened earlier. Using online translator, Sasaki and the others ask Tina to come to the beach with them later that week. Tina reluctantly replies that he isn't good with heat, and Sasaki exclaims that since it is summer, they should go to the beach. Iori becomes increasingly angry with their antics, thinking that they just want to see Tina in a swimsuit. Iori calmly talks to Tina about the situation, asking her if she really wants to go. She explains that she was never able to swim in Russia, so she wanted to go to the beach. Iori continues to try to change her mind, stating that it gets hot during summer in Japan, and the guys that invited her have bad intentions, but Tina is determined to go. She states that she isn't worried about anything because Iori will be there too. Iori becomes increasingly worried and states that he will need to make many preparations. He warns Tina that the beach is dangerous because of jellyfish and playboys. Tina states that Iori is going to come with her, so she will be fine. She tells him that he should pick her swimsuit tomorrow. Iori becomes embarrassed, and Tina explains that she can't read anything in Japanese, so she can't go shopping by herself. Tina teases him for becoming embarrassed about the situation. The next day, the two go to shop for swimsuits. Tina shows him the one she likes and asks what he thinks. Iori blushes and states that it's good, and Tina asks him if he has a fever because his face is turning red. He gets more and more flustered about the situation as Tina tries to ask him for his opinion about the suits. She tries on the suits the picked out and asks Iori how they look. He tells her that she should just pick one she likes, but she states that she can't do that because she doesn't know about Japanese fashion. Iori frustratingly states that he doesn't know either. She tells him to pick something out that catches his eyes, and he tries to refuse the suggestion. Desperate to get out of the situation, he picks out something random without looking and asks her to try it on. Tina curiously wonders about his choice, and he looks over to see that he had picked a babyish swimsuit for her. Iori looks at the swimsuit that he had picked out in disappointment. Tina asks him what he picked, and he states that he is still trying to choose one. Worried about what Tina might think if she sees this, he decides to go put the babyish one back. But Tina insists to see what he picked out. She runs out and grabs it from his hands before he could even notice. Realizing that she has grabbed the suit, Iori tries to tell her that she took the wrong swimsuit from him. She explains that it's too late because she already put it on. She walks out feeling awkward and immediately goes back inside to take it off. She gets mad at Iori for thinking of her like a kid, and he apologizes. Trying to fix the situation, he looks through the swimsuits to actually find something he likes, and he hands her another swimsuit, stating that he is sure it will look good on her. Excited to see what he chose, her eyes light up and she immediately starts to change into it. Iori asks her if she likes it, and she steps out thanking him for picking it out. As the two walk back after completing their shopping, Iori asks her if she just wanted to wear one that he picked out. Tina explains that he is correct, and Iori asks her if it's okay that she ended up with a t-shirt-like swimsuit because of him. Tina teases him if he is regretting his choice now, and he brushes her off. Iori states that dealing with the heat might not be so difficult, but the real problem will be those boys. Tina says that he will be there to protect her from them, and he worriedly hopes that everything will turn out okay. Tina thanks Iori for his help and leans in to kiss him on the cheek. Shocked and flustered, Iori drops the bag and asks her what she just did. Tina teases him, stating who knows, and tells him that his face is turning red. Iori realizes that that was a cheek kiss, which is treated as just a friendly greeting in Russia. He realizes that Tina only did it to express her gratitude for helping her and not romantic. But Iori is completely wrong as a flustered Tina walks ahead, trying to hide her blushing face and stating that summer really is hot in Japan. Tina and Iori ride the bike to the beach as Tina enjoys the view. Sasaki, taking a train to the beach, continues his creepy behavior as he revels about today being the day he gets to see Tina in a swimsuit. He puts little effort to mask his ill intentions and reveals his true colors. He even makes the other people around him uncomfortable as he yells about his plans of trying to get close to Tina when Iori isn't around. He fantasizes about seeing Iori's bitter face and swears that he isn't going to lose today. He decides to look outside the window to enjoy the scenery of the beach when he sees Iori and Tina on the bike driving nearby. Upset by what he's just seen, Sasaki gets up and bangs on the window of the train. He notices that Iori is accompanying Tina on today's event, and his blood begins to boil with frustration. Tina suddenly gets an uncomfortable feeling and states that it feels like someone is watching them from inside the train. Nevertheless, the pair continue on their commute towards the beach. The loud sound of seagulls squawking echoes in the air as Tina and Iori arrive on the beach. The girls of the class look at them curiously and get excited about Tina showing up on a bike. They all surround her and start chatting as Iori smiles in relief and silently blushes to himself about the fact that he was riding tandem with Tina. Bad news arrives quickly to ruin the moment as Sasaki greets Tina and thanks her for showing up despite the heat. She smiles nervously as she is unable to understand him, and he quickly walks up to her, grabs her shoulders, and states that they should greet each other. The sudden approach causes Tina to jolt back in surprise, and Iori also becomes disturbed. Tina recalls that Iori told her that Japanese men and women don't causally touch each other. Iori warns her that if a guy ever tries to hug or kiss her on the cheek, they have ulterior motives and she should be wary of them. He tells her to tell those people off to stay safe. She asks if she should always do that, and Iori elaborates that she should definitely tell them off if it makes her uncomfortable. Recalling his advice, Tina pushes Sasaki away and tells him off. She smiles nervously and tells him that where she is from, people don't greet each other like this. Filled with disappointment, Sasaki goes completely quiet after hearing her reply. After a moment of awkward silence, Sasaki aggressively approaches Tina and states that it is just a greeting. Getting scared and overwhelmed, Tina turns to Iori for help, but before she can even ask, he appears in front of her to defend her. He stands between Tina and Sasaki and tries to calmly reason with Sasaki, asking him can't he tell that she is uncomfortable and scared. Blind with frustration and anger, Sasaki screams that it is just a greeting and asks why Ari is even here when he didn't invite him. Soji steps in to back Iori up and explains that he is here because this is a class trip after all. He explains that he was the one who invited I, but what's wrong with that? He is part of the class too. Unable to answer, Sasaki bitterly remarks that Tsuji also came. Soji coldly responds saying that of course he came, otherwise he would have missed the show. A proud Tsuji expresses his satisfaction about seeing the embarrassed look on Sasaki's face after he made a fool of himself in front of the entire class. Iori reluctantly agrees and asks Tsuji why he is there in the first place. Tsuji mischievously replies, stating that this seems entertaining and he couldn't miss out on this. The two friends change into their swimsuits in the changing room, and Iori worriedly warns Tsuji to not get involved with this mess. Tsuji brushes him off, and they step outside to see the beautiful view of the beach stretching before them. Noticing their classmates in the distance, Tsuji points out Tina, which alerts Iori. Everyone is surrounding Tina and complimenting her about her tankini swimsuit. Tina becomes embarrassed by their comments and becomes unable to respond. Tsuji asks Iori why he isn't going over to help her out, and he replies that he really wants to help, but he thinks that she is trying to figure it out on her own. Soji sneers and says that something bad might happen if this continues, and Iori agrees, wondering what he should do. Tsuji gets an idea and tells Iori to come with him. Without warning, Tsuji zips open Iori's jacket, exposing his buff body to the rest of the class. Soji's distractions is successful as everyone's attention is immediately drawn to the scene the two boys are causing, and the girls of the class become impressed with Iori's muscular body and gather around him to get a closer look. One of the girls approach him very directly, complimenting his abs and asking to touch them. Feeling embarrassed and awkward, Iori tries to think of a way out of this situation. Suddenly, another girl in class tells Akimoto to stop, warning her about what Iori might do. As Akimoto looks away to respond to the girl, Iori takes this chance to immediately zip his jacket back up. The girls become disinterested and walk off, leaving Iori and Tina alone. Iori notices an upset Tina standing nearby and walks over to her, nervously claiming that he had no idea how to save her. She doesn't respond to him, and he wonders what's wrong. He looks at Tina, who is pouting, and angrily remarks that Iori seems to be having a lot of fun. Iori tries to explain that Tina is misunderstanding. He was forced to expose himself by Tsuji. Iori turns over to look at Tsuji, asking him to confirm this, but he has disappeared. An annoyed Tina watches on as Iori looks around for Tsuji. Hearing Tsuji's voice nearby, Iori looks around to find him standing next to a food stall. He's asking them for a filled cucumber as he notices Iori looking at him and invites him to join. Iori frustratingly tells Tsuji that he was in a weird situation because of him, and Tsuji jokingly remarks that it all worked out in the end. Iori invites Tina over to join them as well, but she refuses, stating that she hates him because he is a pervert. Iori tries to explain that that was a misunderstanding and she questions if that's really true. Iori asks Suji to help explain the situation. After the two are done bantering with each other, Tina's attention is drawn to the incoming waves. She runs over towards the water and exclaims that the sea is so big and fun. Iori replies that he is glad she is having fun and feels relieved that she cheered up after eating the cucumber. He yells after her in concern, telling her not to go too far out when he notices someone approach him from nearby. It is Akimoto again as she comments about how well he is able to speak Russian. She apologizes for her earlier behavior and the two become distracted by Tina and Suji playing volleyball. Suji looks over at the two and tells them to come join them. Akimoto immediately runs over towards them, stating that this sounds like fun. They all engage in a friendly competition as Akimoto tells Tina to hit the ball with all her might without holding back. Iori and Suji cheer the girls on as Tina becomes jealous of Akimoto and accidentally hits her chest with the ball. Akimoto becomes frustrated with the game and decides to call a quits. She suddenly grabs onto Tina, asking her to swim in the ocean together. Tina asks Iori to translate, and he tells her that Akimoto wants to swim with her. Tina asks Iori if she can, and he tells her to do it because she wanted to swim. The two girls jump in the water and swim around having fun together. Suji expressed that he is glad that Tina is having fun and Iori agrees. Iori confesses that he was nervous about this trip, stating that even though Tina was excited about coming, he kept thinking of reasons to cancel the plans. But now that he's here, he's glad he came. Iori states that Akimoto is a good person, so he isn't worried about Tina. But as soon as he says that, Akimoto loudly screams Tina's name in concern. Worried, Iori runs over to see what happened and sees Tina barely staying afloat the water and coughing as she struggles to breath. Fearing for the worst, Iori runs over to help Tina. Akimoto worriedly calls out to Tina asking if she's okay, but she can't respond as she struggles to breathe. Akimoto tries to go over to help Tina, but Iori warns her against it, stating that she isn't trained in water safety, so Tina might grab onto her and end up pulling her under. Akimoto panics and asks what they should do as Iori jumps into the water and swims over to help the girls. He reassures them that he is coming and calls out to Tina. He reaches her quickly and grabs her just in time. He tells her to breathe slowly. Iori asks Akimoto if she is okay, and she explains that she's fine. Iori tells her to get to shore as he carries Tina to safety. Iori instructs Suji to get the lifeguard and a towel, and Akimoto warns him to be careful, explaining that the reason Tina's starting to drown was because she was stung by a jellyfish on her ankle. Iori instructs Akimoto to tell the rest of the class to get to shore, and she does so. As he holds on to Tina waiting for help, Iori feels relieved that he had training regarding a situation like this at the military base. Tina regains her breath and apologizes to Iori for causing trouble. Iori reassures her and exclaims that he is here for her. He finally reaches to shore with her, and the lifeguard examines her wound, confirming that it was a jellyfish bite. He explains that if she treats it properly, she'll be fine and instructs them to go to the hospital if her condition gets worse. Akimoto cries and apologizes to Tina for taking her into the water. Suddenly, someone yells asking if Tina is all right. They look over to see Sasaki standing there out of breath and asking about Tina. He immediately goes off at Iori and starts blaming him for getting Tina injured. Tina gets scared and grabs onto Iori as he angrily explains that he heard Tina screaming till he made his way over to see this. He states that Iori must be the one responsible for getting Tina injured, and Akimoto tries to talk some sense into him, telling him that Tina was stung by a jellyfish. Confused, Sasaki asks that isn't the injury because of Iori's reckless behavior with Tina. He claims that they are just blaming a jellyfish bite to hide what actually happened, and he accuses Iori of being a bad supporter who treats her carelessly. Iori becomes annoyed and screams at Sasaki, stating that she was only put in danger like this because he invited her to the beach. Sasaki bites back, claiming that Iori is bad news because he is a criminal and he's always doing stuff to Shiori. He yells that Iori always treats Shiori badly, so he can't be trusted to take care of Tina. He gets the entire class riled up, and they all begin to question Iori's reliability. Akimoto and Suji try to calm everyone down, but no one is backing off. Sasaki exclaims that he will be taking care of Chima because Iori can't be trusted. Iori can barely hold himself back as he is publicly humiliated by Sasaki. Before he has the chance to say anything, Tina tells them to stop and jumps in front of Iori to defend him with teary eyes. Everyone begins to gossip about the situation as an injured Tina jumps in the middle of it trying to defend Iori. Both Sasaki and Iori are at a loss for words at Tina's reaction. Sasaki tries to convince her to step away from Iori, calling him dangerous, but Tina is done staying put and watching everything go wrong for Iori because of him. She declares that Iori isn't bad in Japanese and everyone is shocked. Sasaki flinches at her determination and tries to tell her that he is doing this for her. Tina refuses to back down and continues proclaiming that Iori isn't bad. Sasaki struggles to respond to the situation and falls to his knees begging Tina to not hate him. Iori looks up at Tina defending him and is reminded of his father standing up for him. He reaches over to Tina and pats her on the shoulder to reassure her. She cries in distress as Iori reaches over and hugs her, comforting her and thanking her for standing up for him. She sobs in his arms trying to recover from the situation, and Iori angrily approaches Sasaki. He accuses Sasaki of not even caring about Tina and only doing all this because he has a grudge against Iori because of Shiori. Sasaki becomes afraid of Iori's serious and aggressive tone and demeanor as he looks down at him with raging eyes and claims that he will never forgive people like Sasaki, who made Tina cry. He begins shivering with fright and backs off. Later, Iori and Tina sit in his room to try and relax as he apologizes to Tina for the stressful events. Tina smiles and reassures Iori that it was no trouble because even though the jellyfish hurt, he supported her and helped her out big time by saving her life. Iori explains that it's no big deal because he is used to it after his training. Tina thanks him again for it and asks him that the reason Iori fought with Sasaki was because of her right. She finally understood that as a result of the fight at the beach. Iori smiles and jokingly asks Tina if she hates the ocean now, but she happily replies that she doesn't hate it at all and is already excited to visit it again next year. The two sit in silence for a bit when Tina finally breaks the silence and asks Iori why everyone dislikes him. The atmosphere of the room immediately becomes tense as both of them sit there, nervously wondering what to say next. Tina asks why everyone misunderstands him. Akimoto, Soji, and Tina understand and respect him. So why does everyone else think he is a bad person? Iori thinks that it's true that he doesn't talk about his situation much at school because he is scared. He realizes that he can't avoid Tina's question and wonders how to reply. He remembers the face of a girl as he thinks about his problems and wonders how he can tell Tina about her. Iori sits nervously as he struggles to muster up the courage to explain his situation to Tina. She listens closely in anticipation and concern. Iori looks away and explains that he has an older twin sister, Shiori. Iori's eyes fill with sadness and regret as he recalls his bitter past. He was just sitting peacefully in class one day, minding his own business, when a bunch of girls approached him aggressively and blamed him for treating Shiori badly. They accused him for peeking at her while she was taking a bath and not considering her feelings at all. The entire class listens to the gross claims and begin to feel disgusted with Iori. Annoyed, Iori mumbles that she is once again bringing up this old stuff. He tells her off, stating that that happened back in 6th grade because she forgot to lock her door and didn't hear him knocking. He states that it was her own fault and shows them his ID card displaying his address, and he proclaims that he lives alone because he moved out as soon as they entered high school. Thus, he couldn't have possibly done what she accused him of doing. He thinks that his explanation was straightforward and honest enough to resolve this matter once and for all, but he would be mistaken as the girl continues to yell at him and shames him for making terrible excuses. Iori feels frustrated that they aren't listening to him at all when suddenly everyone's attention is drawn to the person who just entered the classroom, Shiori. She claims that this is a personal matter between her and her brother and tells them to not get involved. Everyone tries to comfort her, but she says that she will talk to him herself. She walks over to him and cheerfully greets him as he looks away begrudgingly. After all, Shiori is the beautiful idol-like girl cherished by everyone at school, so she can get away with anything. He angrily tells her that she's got nerve acting all innocent and helpless. She ignores his discomfort and tells him that their mom is in a pretty bad state since their dad isn't around. She tells him that she understands living alone is fun, but asks him to come home and help their mom out once in a while. Iori angrily replies that their mom never asked him for help, and even if he did go to their house, his mom wouldn't be too happy about it. She teases him, telling him to not be so bitter and misunderstand their mom's feelings. Iori is just about done with her nice girl act and explains that he doesn't have time to visit because he needs to work a part-time job to survive because he doesn't get allowance. Shiori accuses him of lying and tells him to stop talking badly about their mom. Everyone in class gossips about Iori's cold behavior towards his family. Iori realizes that Shiori only did that to make him look bad and stir up trouble for him. He states that Shiori is the reason for everything wrong in his life. Shiori explains that his sister was born with his father's intelligence and his mother's looks, which is why she became his mother's favorite while he was quickly pushed aside. His mother raised Shiori to hate him, and that's why she now uses her intelligence and charm to drive everyone against him and treat him with hostility. Tina gains a better understanding of Iori's awful circumstances as he explains that this is the reason everyone in school hates him and treats him badly. Iori states that he has no idea why his mother hates him and causes his sister to do the same. He speculates that maybe it was because his mother's career got affected by her pregnancy, or maybe it's because their dad did not file for divorce. Tina understands the depressing situation and wonders what to do. Iori explains that he has thought about how to change his situation, but no solution comes to mind, which is why he eventually gave up on trying to fix his relationship with his mother and sister. Iori states that Tina might find this side of him disappointing because she was separated from her family unwillingly. To his surprise, Tina cries and takes Iori's side, claiming that his family are unforgivable for hurting him like this. She states that he clearly cares about his mom and sister despite their attitude towards him, and he has so many good qualities that others don't see. She reassures him that he doesn't need the approval of such shallow people, and Iori is surprised that she isn't mad at him. She comforts him, telling him that there is no reason for her to be mad at him, and that he should have more faith in himself. Her kindness drives him to tears, and he thanks Tina for being so supportive and understanding. She gets up and cheerfully exclaims that she believes in Iori because she is his ally. She extends her arms out to hug him, stating that they should greet each other properly because she is now in his care. Iori cries and accepts her embrace as the two share a warm and comforting hug. Iori states that it is now his turn, and Iori leans in to kiss Tina on the cheek, and she scolds him for being so clumsy. At the U.S. military base training facility, Iori steals the basketball from someone's hand and scores a goal. All his teammates commend him, saying that his next match will be a piece of cake to win for him. If someone comes that is bigger than them and has more moves, then, however, he might lose. The crowd bursts into laughter. Iori notices behind him. Tina is running after the ball herself. Iori hands her a bottle of water and asks if she is okay or hot. Tina replies that she is fine because she was not moving that much and thanks him for giving her the water. She compliments him, calling him amazing even though he is not very tall. He's still a ton of points. With a sour expression, Iori tells her that he is taller than average and she cannot compare him with Russians or Americans. She laughs and agrees with the fact. A few days later, Iori listens to the two girls using his desk and eating lunch as they talk about how the class match is going to fun and how the boys will do soccer and basketball while the girls do basketball and softball. As he eats his lunch, he questions to himself why they both are eating on his desk. He questions Akimoto that even though she is the class representative, she can't just pick a match for people they don't want to play. Akimoto picks Iori for basketball, and he tells her that there are 4 other guys that play in basketball. Why would she pick him? And he is an amateur, so he will embarrass himself. He'd rather sign up for soccer instead. Akimoto tells him that it will be fine because everyone is an amateur, and Chris told her that basketball is one of his strongest points. He laughs and see each of them talking to each and have fun. They joke about how good his lunch looks, and he jokingly says that he is not giving them any. He feels someone staring, so he looks back and sees Sasaki look at him. Sasaki notices and looks away, annoyed. Iori thinks about how ever since the beach incident, they have been trying to be friendly, but Sasaki has been avoiding them. He thinks about how nothing good is going to come out of this. Iori and Tina enter an apartment together, talking about visiting each other's rooms. Iori tells her that he should come to her room today. When she questions him why, he opens the door and Angie bursts out of the door and hugs Tina. yelling about how long it has been. Surprised, Tina scolds Iori that he should tell her when Angie comes back, but Iori tells her that she did not let him tell Tina. Angie says that she wanted Tina to be surprised, so she should forgive her. Angie opens up her back and shows Tina that she brought back some souvenirs for her. Iori asks her what she brought this time, and she tells them that she brought Marmite and haggis and eel jelly. Iori, while being disgusted, says that these things are only famous for being really disgusting. She explains that she thought they would make a good lasting impression as she laughs sheepishly. She says that she brought other souvenirs as well as she looks for them. Tina calls out for Iori as she holds instant pot noodle cup in her hand and asks him what it is because it looks delicious. With a look of nervousness on Angie's face, she asks Tina that they should go to a family restaurant later. Iori asks Angie how long she is going to stay in Japan this time, and she says that she is only going to stay for a little over 2 weeks because she wants to buy something. She says that she will come to cheer on Iori for his class match, which is in 2 weeks. Both Tina and Iori are surprised at this. The three of them are in the shopping mall as Iori questions whether he is the bag carrier again. Angie smiles excitedly and tells him that it's not true. She tells him that she just wants to be happy and have fun shopping with them and runs off on her own, telling them to follow her. Iori and Tina lose sight of her, and Iori wonders whether it would be embarrassing to call the lost child department. Tina looks at him and asks him whether he is mad, and he just sighs and smiles softly as he tells her that he is just annoyed, that's it. Iori tells Tina to shop by themselves and notices Tina's face go red. Tina nervously tries to nonchalantly ask him that since she is so small, they should hold hands together, otherwise she would go missing and give him more trouble. They should stick together throughout their shopping because they came together and don't want to lose each other. Iori stares at her blankly and gives it a thought before he grabs her hand while looking away. Tina gets happy at this as she smiles genuinely and pulls him along with her to various shops, going from shop to shop and exploring different places. They finally stop after shopping for stuff. Iori notices that they are still holding each other's hands and gets embarrassed. They both tell themselves that they should calm down. Iori's hand starts to sweat at this point. Tina notices something and questions Iori whether the school allows the students to wear some kind of jewelry. Iori tells her that as long as it is simple, he thinks it would be okay. Tina tells him to wait and runs off on her own to a jewelry shop. Iori decides to wait outside, considering the fact that Tina probably wants to buy one for herself, so he has no need going inside. He waits for her outside as he reads a book while waiting, and when she comes back, he stands up and he notices a shiny bracelet on her wrist and tells her it looks really good on her. She thanks him and tells him to hold out his hand, and while questioning her, he holds out his hand. She puts on a matching bracelet on his wrist. She tells him that he is always taking care of her, so they thought it would be nice if he had something that matched with her. He thanks her and smiles shyly. Tina is about to say something but stops herself and just blushes. Iori gets surprised and wonders that her behavior could mean perhaps a confession. She was about to confess to him, but Tina tells him good luck in class match as she smiles sheepishly, and Iori, while being embarrassed, tells her thanks. Akimoto calls out Iori's name and he asks her what she wants. She questions that he has to tell her the reason he and Tina are wearing the same matching bracelets. Iori gets embarrassed as he tries to explain and tells her that Tina gave it to him because she wanted to thank him for always helping her out. Soji and Akimoto grin at him knowingly from the sides as they ask what else she did for him, and Iori quickly answers that nothing happened. A guy enters the class as he calls out to Sawai, who is a senior. Sawai notices the four together and comes up to Chris, calling her cute and asking her whether she wants to play with him sometime. Iori helps Tina out and says that she can't really speak Japanese well, so she should not do it. Sawai says that he only asked if she wanted to play with him. Why does he care about what she does, and asks him what he is to Tina? Akimoto whispers to Iori from the back that if Tina gets close to him, it would be really bad. Sawai Daisuke is a year above them and is the basketball club's ace. He is so good that he even got a recommendation because of his skills. Akimoto yells at him that he is awful because he is a womanizer. Iori has to protect Tina. Iori speaks up again to Sawai, saying that he should leave her alone. Sawai questions why everyone else is talking for her instead of her. The person he is talking to should herself answer his questions. He did not ask Iori's opinions, so he should keep it to himself. Girls in their class back him that it is ridiculous to reject an invitation from Sawai. Iori questions whether these girls know what they are doing. Sawai says that he just plays around with cute girls, and Iori tells him that he does not get to decide that. Sawai tells him that Iori can't decide for her either. He is just her interpreter. Suji tells Sawai to look at their wrists, and everyone's attention shifts to him. He holds Tina's and Iori's wrists together, shows everyone that they are wearing matching bracelets. Iori asks him what he is doing, but Suji just continues to say that Iori plays basketball in interclass games. Iori gets mad at Suji for setting him up. Sawai challenges Iori that they will compete against each other, and whoever wins is the person that Tina will be with. When Sawai leaves, Tina questions Iori whether he got into trouble because of her. But Iori tells her that is not true. Against Sawai in the gym, they both face each other. Sawai pants and out of breath as he stares off into space and thinks to himself that he is the ace, the basketball club, and even got college recommendation. So why can he not beat Iori? Iori wipes his sweat as Tina and friends watch from the side as they cheer for Iori. Akimoto yells for Iori to win. Iori waves to them and Sawai glares at them, thinking that it is all their fault. They are the reason all of this was happening. A bunch of men also root for Iori, and Sawai gets surprised, questioning who those macho men are. They are so noisy that he can't concentrate. Sawai gets hyped up to settle the game while the cheering is ever so loud in the stadium. But as there are only 2 minutes left, Sawai runs and passes his teammate as he shoves him, telling him to get out his way. He goes for a score as he yells at Iori that the game ends right then, but gets blocked by Iori. Iori swiftly grabs the ball from Sawai and runs towards the other goal as he thinks about how he is not going to lose the game. It does not matter whether Sawai is the ace of the basketball club or whether he got college recommendations. No matter what, he has to win for Tina. Tina in the sidelines cheers for him in Russian. Iori hears her as he throws her a glance and grins. He jumps to secure a goal as Sawai tries to stop his goal, yelling that he will not let Iori beat him. But the ball goes through either way and the game ends. Iori wins. Sawai watches with anger in his eyes as he grits his teeth, and Tina runs towards Iori and tells him that he looked very cool. The other girls talk amongst themselves how Sawai did not look cool this match. From the sidelines, Shiori watches Iori and his friends as she thinks to herself that she doesn't like them. He should not be happy. The interclass games end. Soji hangs onto Iori's shoulder as he says that he expected he will pull through to the end. Soji talks about the look on Sawai's face at the end and how it gave him satisfaction. Iori calls him out for being mean even though he knew it. Soji asks Iori what he is going to do after this. When Iori questions him, Suji tells him that he should cut the innocent act, but Tina is coming, so he will leave it for now and walks away as he wishes Iori the best. Looking at Suji walk away, Iori questions what Suji was talking and turns to ask Tina if she has any idea. When he sees Tina standing in front of him with a blushing face, he gets surprised. Tina asks Iori if he would like to go to the folk dance with her. Iori remembers that there is going to folk dance because all the games are over. He tells her that if she is okay with dancing with her, then he would love to go with her. They both stand in awkward silence while avoiding gaze. Finally, breaking the tension, Tina laughs as she questions why he's getting shy and embarrassed. He tells her that he can't really help it. Tina holds out her hand and tells him to let her take the lead this time. He blushes and his heart races as he holds her hand as the bonfire gets lit up. They both look at the sight and Tina thanks Iori for everything. Iori tells her that she can always count on him and that she does not have to thank her every time. Sasaki at the back of the crowd eavesdrops on them as he swears at Iori. But from behind him, Shiori shows up as she asks him what he is doing here. She runs to hug him, and while being embarrassed, he questions what she is doing. She tells him that when she sees Iori being all happy, she cannot take it. He is unforgivable. He hurt their mom and took away all her dreams. With a coy expression, she asks Sasaki to help her. Infatuated by her, Sasaki grabs onto her shoulders and tells her that he will help her no matter what. He will do anything for her. She thanks Sasaki and this makes him blush. He turns around and says that Iori is going to get it from him for hurting Shiori and his own mother as well. Shiori smiles deviously from the back as she thanks Sasaki once again, saying that she knew she could count on him. Tina flails around as she looks for Iori yelling out his name and asks where Ie is. Akiyama sees Tina and asks her what is wrong and whether or not she is looking for Iori. Tina stops and huffs for a while as she is out of breath from running for so long. Akiyama asks if she is okay. Tina holds out a book and speaks really long in Russian with an excited tone. Dumbfounded, Akiyama stands speechless as she thinks that she does not get what Tina is saying at all. She tries to figure out what to do while still being speechless. Thankfully, she spots Iori and calls him a translation machine. Iori asks her what she wants and Tina comes up to him and whispers in his ear. He agrees and hums at her words and asks Akiyama whether she wants to know what Tina said. Akiyama asks him what Tina said, and he translates for her as he says that the beautiful female transfer student who cannot speak Japanese can rely only on the talented polyglot meaning him is releasing its first volume. Akiyama asks Iori to ask Tina something, and Iori wonders whether she will still do it or not. He asks Tina for a request, and Tina questions what it is. He asks her to hold the book up higher. She holds it higher as she says that she wants you to buy the book.